New this morning, Donald Trump Jr. unleashing on the Russia investigation and downplaying the controversial Trump Tower meeting.
Come to a conclusion already, because you've been looking for 2 years. You've come up with nothing other than their own nefarious actions and their own collusions. They've come up with nothing. I took a meeting, 20-minute meeting. Big, but they needed it to be true.
You're so much like your dad. I took a meeting. But
they needed it to be true because they staked their entire credibility. Their whole narrative, that was, oh, now we can keep going. Now we can keep on the heat because they all knew what was going on. So what is this?
Let's bring in Democratic strategist Fatima Omara, former president of Young Democrats for America, and Noelle Nitpour, a Republican strategist. Good morning to you both, ladies. Let's get right to it. Noelle, I'm going to start with you here. A, does Donald Trump Jr. not understand that the Trump Tower meeting is a key part of Special Counsel Bob Mueller's investigation? And B, how come he does not get why that meeting is such a big deal?
You know, I think that Donald Trump is probably exasperated with this ongoing investigation, and I think Donald Trump is, as well as his whole family, they're ready for this to come to an end. And I feel like that they feel like they have done absolutely nothing wrong, and that they are ready for, you know, this whole thing to move on. And I also think that they feel like they have already identified some of the guilty party with, you know, with Flynn and with Papadopoulos and with Manafort, and they feel like that, you know, it's just not leading their way, and enough is enough. And what you saw on, you know, Waters World on Fox News is a guy that's truly headed and ready for it to be done. And what he did is he said he had the 20-minute meeting, and, you know, he was pretty much hoodwinked in that meeting and led to believe it was about something else. And he's finished with it. So I think he's exasperated.
So, and you think part of this, he goes on TV because we haven't heard him talk about this a lot, certainly. So this is a part of a PR push too, Noelle? I mean, a PR spin?
Well, I mean, you know, the Trumps are not camera shy by any means, but you know, they are on social media. You know, a lot of people cringe when they know, you know, there's ongoing investigations, and you've got the whole family, you know, kind of putting this on Twitter when they think, you know, enough is enough, and I've been vindicated and so forth. Yeah. But I do feel like, you know, Donald Trump says what he means, and his father does it, and Eric does it. So I don't know if this is a publicity stunt. I mean, they don't need any more publicity. They have publicity 24/7.
Yeah, right.
But I think that he just wants to get across to people that he is exasperated with this, and it's enough.
So, Fatima, is there any room for you to understand Donald Trump Jr.'s frustrations and exasperation, as Noelle says, with how this investigation and the entire narrative around it have been playing out?
No. I mean, look, Donald Trump Jr., I feel like he's the kid that whenever he opens his mouth does not really do his father any favors. In July of 2016, he denied, you know, any sort of campaign meetings with Russian officials on interference with the elections. He called them actually disgusting allegations. Come to find out a year later that he'd actually taken a meeting from someone who, whether they actually were or not, but in his mind when he went into that meeting, you know, said that they had dirt and they were affiliated with Russia.
And he loved it, according to his email.
Right. He said that all in his email. This all came out, right? And so, you know, now he's sitting here saying that this memo vindicates the family, and that's all that they hinged the investigation on. They didn't hinge the entire investigation on this meeting. It was definitely sort of a key factor, but it started because Papadopoulos was popping off his mouth at a bar to an Australian dude who was like, yo, FBI, you might want to check this out, right? Yeah. And also you have the situation with Carter Page and all of these things that were put together to make one very suspicious package. You know, so Donald Trump Jr. being frustrated is just confusing to me.
You just have to wonder why Jr. and the rest of them, frankly, don't just stay quiet about it. Let the investigation percolate. Let it get out there. And if you have nothing to hide, then it will be over and we're done. Not these sideshows left and right. I mean, is there anything to that? I mean,
to me, for quite interestingly enough, you know, I don't have the access to the high-powered lawyers that they do, but I certainly know when to keep my mouth shut. And when it comes to your family being investigated, or the campaign operation, or the administration, but in large part the family, because they were very involved in the campaign throughout and into this administration, you know, keep your mouth shut. Don't say anything until you're asked. Don't go on TV. Don't, you know, gloat. Don't do any of these things that they do on Twitter appear on
Yeah.
TV all the time.
So, Noelle, I mentioned the I love it with that email, and the emails are out. They are revealing how the meeting came about. It's all back in the news because of the Mark Corallo situation. Of course, he's the former spokesman for President Trump's legal team. He's preparing for an interview with Bob Mueller. Corallo reportedly is going to tell him that the White House Communications Director, Hope Hicks, said that those emails that we're talking about right now will never get out. So is it possible that she was simply referencing the fact that not many people had access to them and that she wasn't trying to signal something more nefarious?
Alex, we don't know. And, her lawyer has responded back, as everybody knows, and said that she did not say that. So it could be, a situation where we have he said, she said. And, you've got to realize that Hope Hicks, she did not come from any sort of a political background. She was working, I think, for his real estate company, and so all this is new to her. If her attorney that represents her said that she did not say this, and that's untrue, then it's going to be a battle between, what the former employee said to, someone that's actively still employed, with the Trump campaign and is, actively a part of his team and spokesperson. So that's going to get pretty thick.
I'm curious, Atima, because Hicks, we know she was interviewed by Mueller's team. That happened back in December. And then based on her lawyer's statement, which we've seen right there, Mr. Trout's statement right there, there's a pretty good chance that her story is going to conflict with that of Mr. Corallo's. And if she finds herself in legal jeopardy, what does the White House do? What's their best move?
He has President Trump has a very good relationship with Hope, and I imagine that there's going to have to be sort of some additional explanations around the specific situation. She's in this situation because she said what she said to Corallo, and while it could be a she said, he said situation, we do know that Corallo left not too long after this phone call and cited concerns about some conversations that he had. So, he's a guy who worked for Bush as a spokesperson for the DOJ, was concerned that, one, she would say the emails are never going to get out, being A, that it was on the phone call in front of the president, 2, that it was without a lawyer present, and 3, couldn't be protected by attorney-client privilege. So he's like, I'm out of here. He's already had this kind of training. He knows certainly there's going to be a problem here, and he doesn't want to be cited in anything that could be problematic. So, for her, she's going to have quite a lot of explaining to do. And I imagine that they're going to try and double down on defense of her because she has been very close to the president since before his time.
Okay. Atima O'Mara, Noelle Nippour, ladies, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Coming up the next.